Step number 4, identify the automatic thought or dysfunctional belief that is getting in your way. So what's the dysfunctional belief that's getting in your way? What thought is holding you back from acting as if you want to be a certain way or getting what you want? Are you feeling something negative? For instance, in giving a presentation to a large audience, you might have the thought, I don't know what I'm talking about. Believe me, I've had that feeling a lot of times. I'm standing in front of a class and all of a sudden I don't know what I'm talking about or what I was going to say. It's that moment of fight or flight, you know? And so you have to regroup and you have to say, you know, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. But sometimes we have that negative emotion. We're scared, like this poor fellow. Because if I know I will fail, no matter what, why put a lot of effort into it? So there's that negative emotion creeping in to something that could be automatic that you've rehearsed. All of a sudden, you're in that fear mode. No one likes to try something and fail, but more important, no one wants to be blamed for failing. Failure can make you mad at yourself, but blame and criticism diminishes you in front of others, which erodes your self-confidence. So you don't want to blame yourself. You don't want to have other people say, oh, this is a poor speaker. And, you know, remember, stars can't shine without darkness. You're not going to be able to do something really well without realizing what your fears are. You have to focus on what it is that you are afraid of so that you can overcome them. Are you afraid of public speaking? I was afraid of public speaking my whole life when I was in school, and I had to overcome it because otherwise I would never be an instructor or professor or whatever it was that I wanted to do in my life. So you have to overcome those fears. You know, again, maybe go to Toastmasters and learn how to speak in front of a group, because that'll really reduce your fears. The way to deal with fear, the fear of being criticized or anything else, is the same as dealing with any other fear or phobia. Just feel it, but do it anyway. Go through it. You know, the difference between, you know, fear and courage is just to do it, to go ahead and be courageous, you know, and act as if you are courageous. That works. Step number 5, identify all the things you would do if you believe the exact opposite of that thought. So if you thought to yourself, you're in front of a microphone, you're in front of a speaking crowd, and you have to say something, you were tasked to say something in your group, and all of a sudden you freeze and you think, well, I don't know if I can do this. Well, think of the opposite. I can do this. I'm just going to say what I think, and I'm going to talk from my heart. And all of a sudden, bang, you're doing really well. I mean, you're not thinking about failing. You're thinking about what you need to speak about, what you need to say. From making eye contact to smiling to preparing well to eliciting questions from the audience, believe you know exactly what you are talking about. So just believe that you can do this. And if you fear speaking in front of a crowd, you might have to deliver a paper in front of a class. You might have to talk to a group of people. You might do the valedictorian, you know, you're the best student in the school and you have to talk in front of the whole school. Things like that will really frighten people if they don't practice it. So you have to practice what the things you fear and overcome those fears in order to understand how you can attract things that you want and act as if you are going to have those things. Number 6, as Shakespeare said, assume a virtue if you have it not. So if you don't have an attribute or a virtue or a skill that you have, assume that you have it. Act as if by role playing with a friend, your dog, or even a mirror. So if you have to do a speech, act as if you're delivering the speech in front of your class or in front of whatever. The point is to be familiar enough with the behaviors and attitudes that you can use them without thinking about them too much. I'll give you a really quick scenario. When I was defending my dissertation for my PhD at the university, Simon Fraser University, the night before, I was so scared because they said that if you fail your dissertation the next day, you know, I had to be in front of 6 professors. If you fail, then you have to go back and do all your 3 or 4 years all over again because you don't have a second chance. And I was so scared, but I imagined as if the night before, as if I was speaking in front of these 6 professors, which I hadn't met. I only knew the 1 or 2. And they came from all over Canada. And I imagined, I acted as if they were asking me all these questions and I was answering them. and I was looking directly in their faces, and I was sitting there for hours acting as if the night before. The next day, I defended my dissertation, and it went brilliantly. It went really, really well. Remember, I was scared. I was scared that I would fail, but I overcame it by acting as if I was exactly where I needed to be. And it was one of the best defenses that they had said they had ever seen. So remember, you can do it. It's just you have to get over that fear. Very important. Step number 7, something to think about. What happens to us is not as important as the meaning we assign to it. I'm going to read that again because this is about meaning making. What happens to us is not as important as the meaning we assign to it. What you read, you listen to, and watch influences your thoughts and beliefs. Remember, whatever you read, whatever you watch on TV, whatever you think, whatever people tell you, could influence the way that you behave. Whether learning as a new skill or going for a new job, saving for a home, improving your relationships, or even writing a book, it starts and ends with believing in yourself and your ability to do it. So act as if what you do matters, because it does. It does to you. Live your vision, step number 8. Acting as if is knowing you deserve the best and not being afraid to go for it, even before you see it. Remember, it's not seeing is believing, rather, it's believing is seeing. If you believe it, you will see it. Some people are very, defensive, and they say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. But you have to believe it in order to see it, not I'll have to see it before I believe it. So remember, try to be open-minded, become open to receiving everything you want by being who you want to become. So remember, there's opportunities everywhere. Just be open to all the opportunities. Pretend you have an antenna on your head, 2 antennas, the old TV antennas, and that you're receiving all these receptions of all these opportunities out there. Just be open to everything, because they'll come by you. And if you're not looking at them, if you're looking at your phone or something, you might miss that opportunity. So just be aware of all the opportunities around you. Remember, nothing is stopping you besides yourself. There's a saying in English that we are our worst enemies. We are our own worst enemies. We are the ones that make ourselves feel worse than anyone else. Stop making excuses and start living the life you want, the way you want to live it. Why not? Each time a dysfunctional thought comes to mind, a negative mindset or something, smile at it and continue as planned. That's not going to get you down. By using the as-if technique, negative biases will be undermined, new attitudes begin to merge, and the courage and belief is renewed. Remember, attitudes determine our actions for good or for bad. If you have a bad attitude, you're going to attract bad things. If you have a good attitude, obviously you will attract good things. Act as if to become more successful. So if you want to be successful, act as if you're successful. Like, do things that make you feel successful. Go out there and stand up and walk with your head up high and be proud and have that soulful strut, that kind of real cool attitude that people have when they feel that they're successful. Write that book that you started, or write something that you wanted to write, that you were putting off. Find a publisher if you were to write that book. Sell your art. I know there's a lot of artists out there. A lot of you are artists. Well, we all are. Remember, Picasso said we all start off as artists and we grow out of it. Well, sell your art if you have it. Build a business. I know some of you want to do a business down the road. Build it. Maybe one step at a time, do the research, find out people who you can speak to, set up informational interviews with successful people who have a business that you want to open up one day. Buy a new home if you can in the future, and imagine as if you were going to buy a new home in your life. Like I said, my experience where I went out and I looked at all these homes, $1 million homes, as if I was going to buy them. And but I felt as if I had the money in the bank, and I felt as if I was going to buy them. It was an amazing feeling. And enjoy a healthier, more loving relationship, so just act as if these things are happening, even though they're not necessarily where you want them to be. And the result, obviously, is if you apply more effort and persistence, you'll demonstrate more resilience to pushing through. You'll be tougher. You won't stop when there's a barrier in front of you. A lot of people stop with barriers, and there's so many barriers in life. You got to get work permits, you got to do this, you have to have a license for that, you have to have experience, you have to have 4 years of university. I mean, so many barriers to getting what you want. But this helps you to put up a resilience to that you have something to combat it, to fight against, so that you don't get discouraged and you achieve what you set out to do. So again, never, never quit.